Welcome to the People Behind Property podcast. My name's Andrew Martin, and this podcast is all about leaders, the thinkers, the builders, the people shaping the future of the real estate industry and the industry in general. Real estate is evolving quickly. Marketing is evolving even faster. And today's guest sits right at the intersection of reputation, technology, and commercial growth. Brad Morgan is here, Chief Commercial Officer for Australia and New Zealand for what is now called Renowned, the new brand uniting RateMyAgent, curated social to lead what they're calling the local expert marketing movement in real estate. But beyond the title, Brad's journey spans everything from the military to media, software as a service, tech startups, consultative leadership. He brings discipline and big picture thinking. And today we're unpacking all of that. Brad's got a very interesting life, so I'm looking forward to unpacking that as well and how you can turn reputation into real commercial advantage in real estate. Brad, welcome, mate.
Interesting is one way to put it, and thanks for having me, Andrew. Look at us. It's great to be here.
Oh, it is, mate. It is. And, obviously we go back a long way. So, if I make a couple of jokes, we might even get some crayfishing discussion in there as well, if we get a chance.
Love a bit of crayfish conversation for sure.
I hope you don't mind me saying this, but obviously, Brad Grazer and myself, we're at News Corp. You were at News Corp as well. And I think going back then, you were coming in, but you'd already spent a lot of time in management. You were working in Northern Territory, running some Ray White offices up there. I want to talk about the Navy. And I think when you came into News Corp, we were probably excited about your background because we saw a lot more than probably just coming in as a sales rep at the time, but you knew you just had to get in the door and do what you had to do. How's that kind of shaped you even up till right now in 2026?
Well, the Navy's been a massive part of my life, and I still remember that day walking in to be interviewed by yourself and Brad. And, it started an amazing career for me in property and technology around property.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Navy was really, how I got started. And that's a very weird way to say that's how I got into real estate. But I grew up on King Island. And that's a very remote part of the world. You have to go away for year 11 and 12. And then, it's very expensive to actually, leave and establish yourself on the mainland from there. And so a lot of kids, they actually, do sign up to the military. And I actually worked in real estate for a little bit. You don't know this, but straight out of school, I worked, as a property management assistant.
There you go, yeah.
Wasn't for me at the time. And, I joined the Navy. So...
Because I think we were there about 7 years in the Navy.
I was in the Navy for 7 years. So... I was working at Harvey Norman. I was like, this isn't for me. In my lunch break, walked across to defence recruiting, and I did the initial testing. And it came back after the Joe's Day that I'd qualified to, go through as an officer. So I went to Hobart and had some interviews down there, and actually joined as a maritime warfare officer after passing the selection board down there. And so, that started me on a 7-year career, learned how to drive warships. That's insane. Like when you think about, a kid from King Island that goes through some pretty intense training, and then suddenly I'm in charge of a multi-$100 million piece of hardware at sea. The learning curve is exponential.
Oh, yeah. You had some stalwarts you were reporting to, I'd imagine, as well.
Yeah, so
some tough nuts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 22 years old, and I've got a division of 30 sailors, some of them older than my dad.
Yeah.
Reporting into me. You have to learn, leadership really fast, and how different people work, and how to get the best out of people, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And I know, that's what I was like, and I speak for Brad as well. Hello, Brad. But, we were excited about that background because we knew it wasn't about what you were doing right then and there. Because I know when it got hard, you were able to, if things got challenging, you kind of doubled down on that challenge.
Yeah.
You didn't shy away from that. And, I assume a lot of that's got to do with that background.
Do you know, it's really funny. I think everyone, says, do you know what kind of person you are? And I know I am a stand-up person, and I'm the last one when the ship's going down, because I've literally been in that situation.
Yeah.
Early on in my career, there was a toxic hazard incident on board the ship I was on.
Yeah.
In the compartment I was in, and I was, I stayed until every last person was out of that compartment.
Yeah.
We had another situation. I spent some time as a boarding officer where, a vessel we were on actually was sinking And again, I made sure I was there until my team was off. And so when you can lead people in probably the toughest situations you could ever be in, it becomes really easy when no one's going to die.
Yeah, that's a great point, mate. Absolutely, and I think that's obviously carried through for you as well.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'd never ask anyone to do something I wouldn't be willing to do myself.
Yeah,
that's important.
yeah,
And I know how to get the best out of people, because when you can bring people on a journey and you can operate under pressure. I mean, business, the way you and I do it, you're just going hard all day, every day. And they're the people I want around me. Like, I don't want them, clock watchers, you don't see them before 9 and you don't see them after 5. I want people that are willing to lift heavy and get in and get the work done.
Yeah, yeah. And that came through early on, certainly through your journey through News Corp. But, I think we had a couple of restructures in there, and while everyone's kind of, the chips are falling or the cards are falling everywhere, you're in there. We're looking for the opportunities for you, because whilst people sadly are losing their jobs, these restructures were creating other opportunities. And for you, your time sort of came around, and then all of a sudden there was just an elevation of where you were to where you ended up at News.
Yeah.
Which was, that was pretty exciting, watching how that all unfolded as well. But I think, look, Brad and I, we always had this vision. We knew there was going to be a lot coming your way. Just have to wait for those dominoes to fall and doors to open, and they did.
And it's really interesting. So, flash forward through the Navy career, I spent some time in Darwin in border operations and leading a team of clearance divers. And, that work's not easy, and it takes a heavy mental load. And so when my return of service came around, I actually decided, well, I'm going to, move on from the Navy.
Yeah. Because after the Navy, you actually ended up running some Ray White offices, correct?
Yeah. So, I'm in Darwin.
Territory.
Yeah, I'm in Darwin. It's great when you're in your late 20s and you're single and you're having a good time. So I thought I want to stay here.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I was going to do. I mean, you're coming out of the military, you've been in charge of massive teams of people, doing some pretty complex work, but a lot of that doesn't translate across to the civilian world.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I'm going to get into real estate. And it was back where I was before I joined the Navy, because that career had always
interested me. Different set of skills though, post-Navy.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started as a real estate agent, and I did the hard yards, and I got into auctioneering. I absolutely love auctions.
Yeah.
I was able to move my way up through that real estate business to become, a sales manager, and then ultimately CEO of a couple of businesses for Ray White. And that was great. And I learnt so much. I had a really sharp learning curve, both personally and professionally.
Yeah.
Working under Nick George there. And, when that came to an end and I wanted to relocate to Melbourne, again, I had to start again.
You did, but I mean, look, you were probably overqualified for what you were looking at to begin with. But what I liked about that, and Brad was the same, that you weren't concerned about that. You just needed that opportunity.
Yeah.
But, you were never going to stay there because you've had all this background as well. But you didn't know a lot about probably, the media side, and that's where you kind of grew that skill. And then it all sort of merged together when all those restructures and redundancies happened, and everyone's, the chips are falling, but not Brad Morgan.
It's so funny. Like, I've always had a theory that you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You just have to work harder.
Yeah.
And so I've always, take the opportunity and then learn.
Yeah.
And, coming knocking at News Corp's door when I did get to Melbourne, taking a step back and being an account manager, I thought, well, this is the best way to actually learn the business.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sure opportunities will present themselves because I'm just going to work harder than everyone else.
And I think we had, we didn't bring you in just to stay where you were either. Like, we just had to figure out how. So it was watching that happen for you was definitely awesome.
Yeah. It was great, and you had to keep evolving. We launched some great products.
Yeah.
We were at the forefront of digital marketing before anyone was even talking about it. That was super valuable.
Yeah, that's right.
And we worked with some amazing people. So we started out we were just talking about it earlier. Leader in Blackburn.
Right. Yeah.
Then
newspapers, and then they all went away,
Yeah. we saw the newspapers go. I mean, they
Yeah.
were still our biggest earner. Digital came in. We moved to Bell Street in Preston. And then finally you and I were at HWD Tower in South Bank.
right.
And, you know, it was a big roundabout way to get to, you know, the best News Corp office in Australia, arguably. Sorry for those in Surrey Hills that might be listening. Right.
Yeah.
But along that journey, there was promotions along the way too. And I'd come from an account manager to finally, you know, being a group sales director across 2 states, which was awesome.
Definitely. No, I think that was great. And look, even in those early days, when I was there, and, you know, I'm going to bring this up because obviously crayfishing's been a big thing of yours, right?
Yeah.
And
diving for crayfish.
Diving for crayfish.
Yeah, I'm not just a crayfish enthusiast.
You've
or
got all your
like
limbs.
that.
You haven't been eaten by a shark yet either.
So far, yeah.
But even that, like, I was always so curious about that. And you down in King Island, and I'm just going to talk. The one thing which I'll never forget was obviously when we decided we wanted to take, you know, Ray White Furniture Gully. We thought one of our biggest clients at the time. Well, we've got to get them down to King Island because we couldn't catch any crays in Vic. So I think it was. Were you still at News then when we took them? When you took them down there?
No, actually took them down with Domain.
Yeah, that's right. And,
thanks, Angus.
Yeah. But, you know, it was something we had in our sights, and it did end up happening.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'll never forget the video and, you know, how awesome that felt that actually did happen, and they pulling crays out of the ocean and all the rest of it. So that was an awesome moment.
It was an unreal moment. And I think, you know, we've had some amazing client moments. You know, going to King Island diving's one of them.
Yeah.
Portsea Polo with the Furniture Gully boys in the limo. That's one of the best days I've had in media ever.
But that's it. And it's, you know, the strategizing around how we can get the best for our clients is always important. And I think obviously, again, you've carried that through. And tell us a bit about, obviously you moved into Monster. You know, I remember you spoke to me, we're at News, and, you know, you were News, nothing was going to change that. And then there was another restructure, but then all of a sudden you had this opportunity with Angus, which is from who you knew from a previous role.
So, well, it's funny because, I met Angus when I first moved to Melbourne, did a bit of work with Pride Real Estate, but then I went and worked at Before You Bid.
That's right.
At the time, now Before You Buy.
Yeah.
Awesome business. And that opened the door to so many opportunities. But Gus and I built a relationship there, and I was at News Corp, and we'd kept in touch, and he could see what I was doing. And he'd been building RateMyAgent at the time, and then they'd sold to Domain, and he called me and said, "Hey, we're building an agent solutions sales team."
That's another story.
Yeah, for sure. It's just been announced. But he said, "I'm building a sales team at Domain, and I want you to come across and run it." Yeah. And I love running sales teams.
That was a crossroads moment for you. Because you were never leaving News Corp at the time.
I wasn't leaving, and it was a crossroads moment, and the opportunity was just exactly what I wanted.
Yep.
Because I love building high-performing sales teams, and it was doing that, and it was growth, and a lot of what we were doing at News Corp was restructure and becoming smaller. So, I had to think long and hard about it, but ultimately went across and it, started the next part of my journey, which was building a really high-performing sales team within Domain.
Yeah, and then you went into the product side of the business. What was that like? And we've spoken about this before, but, coming from a kind of live, energetic, dynamic sales environment, loaded question here, but how did you transfer into a more product-focused role? How did you find that?
It was a challenge again, but as I said, take the opportunity and then learn. And what I got to build the muscles I haven't had any exposure to doing. Yeah. Like, you have to do the reps to actually grow the skill. So building sales teams and driving activity in deals was what I was good at. But understanding, a P&L and the way that the finance model works behind a product and the pricing structure behind a product and the go-to-market that's required to launch a new product were all skills that I had to learn. So I found it really rewarding, but ultimately I wanted to get back customer-facing because that's where my strengths are.
So how, fast forward, you're Chief Commercial Officer at what's now Renowned, which a lot of people still probably haven't figured that one out yet, that RateMyAgent is now Renowned. You're listed on the NASDAQ, correct?
ASX.
But in the US?
No, we're listed here on the ASX.
Oh, aren't you listed in the US?
No. We're
thought
not.
you were.
No, we're based here
Okay.
and listed on the ASX
Okay,
under
gotcha.
RMY.
Yeah. So how did that all come about?
Yeah, so I'd
Because you've
been.
had a couple of steps up there as well, haven't you?
Yeah. So I'll talk about it. So I was in the solutions director role, and I learnt a lot. Launched a new product, done some pricing changes, worked on some projects, and had some board level visibility projects that I'd done. And I was like, okay, I've learnt a lot of skills, but I want to go back to doing what I enjoy. And Ellie and I had our son Hunter. And so we were in Sydney.
So you're a new dad. You've had a lot
New
of
dad,
things.
bits been going on. And
Because you actually did move to Sydney for the domain role.
yeah, I moved to Sydney for the domain role for a time. And so we wanted to get back to Melbourne, where we could have some more space. It's pretty expensive in Sydney, and we were living in Bondi, so we weren't upsizing there. And the job came up at then RateMyAgent, and it was customer-facing head of sales role.
Yeah.
And I just thought...
Did you feel that you were timing out a bit on that product role?
I felt like I'd learnt what I wanted to learn, and I was ready. Yeah, I wanted to do something that I enjoyed, and it wasn't fast paced, and it wasn't, I didn't have any control over the sales team and how we were getting after the customer, and so I wanted that again. And so the job came up, and RateMyAgent just appointed the new CEO, Jim Chrysera, in the US, and I could see that they were doing big things. They just invested and bought Curated Social, so I knew the company was on a growth trajectory. And so I came in and interviewed, loved the opportunity. There was a lot to fix. That's what I like, and so that's why I took the role.
Yeah, awesome. And you've got some good people you're working with, and that you've got mentors there as well.
Yeah, so I work really closely with Jim. Then we've got some great people on the board as well. So including one of the founders, which is great. But yeah, so I came in there, and the first thing I wanted to do was look at the sales team and how we were performing. And I've never seen a finance problem that can't be solved by activity. And so the first thing was really ramping that activity up and making sure we had good accountability about our numbers. And then the deals, started to move, and we hit our FY25 target for ANZ, which was great. We've got a great team in Australia, a great team in New Zealand.
Yeah, I know you've got awards coming out. So what's the problem Renown's trying to solve, just for everyone listening?
So we were, initially when we were called RateMyAgent, it was just about the automation of review collection and making sure agents could have the best word of mouth you can have, which is your previous customer telling your potential future customer how good you are. With the purchase of Curated Social and then the launch of Social Studio, correct. We now have that content piece as well, because content is where you build trust with your audience outside of those transactional review pieces. And ultimately, we want to help agents win listings. Yeah,
definitely. So it's the reputational piece. What are the other streams that are becoming more important? I mean, are you guys plug in with Google reviews as well?
We are, yeah. So essentially what we'll take is an agent's performance data. So they're just listed, just sold, their reviews. And then we package them up in a way they can push them out across our network. We've got a heap of partnerships. So Domain and Rewa are two partnerships we have. Those reviews go there. And then the agent's social media pages as well.
Yeah, excellent. So, and is there anything, tell us a bit about the social media side of things, because that's a newly acquired business for Renown.
Yeah, and social media is really number one, it's allows us to reprice the product, because, pricing is important.
In terms of like bundling things together.
Bundling the package together, And then it solves the problem for agents. They try and have a content strategy, but then they'll post once or twice and then never again, because they get busy, surprise, listing and selling property. That's right. So we give them ready to post content, but then market reports have been a game changer for us. So literally being able to post suburb level market reports from their account monthly has been huge.
Anything else in terms of you've built a sales team. Have you had to rebuild the team here and in New Zealand, or?
New Zealand, we've got an awesome team, and we've just added a great account manager there. In Australia, we have had a bit of a rebuild. We've got a new BDM team in that we're about to rename account executive because apparently BDM's the old term.
Yeah, okay.
You've got to stay current with this stuff.
Yes.
And we're about to do a massive transformation as well. We had 3 teams. So we had a digital ads team, a sub-sales team, and an account management team. Now we're going to have 2 teams, growth and retention.
Yeah.
And it's going to mean our customers get more service.
Gotcha. Okay, that's good. What about in terms of what do you see in agents? What do you think agents can improve around some of this stuff?
I think it's gone are the days where if you knock on more doors or make more calls, you're going to be number one, because the agents that are adopting to technology are going to win because they've got something that's working for them when they're not. And let's be honest, most consumers don't want to talk to real estate agents unless they have to. So they're doing as much pre-selection online as they possibly can.
Yeah.
And so agents that have a really good online strategy, including AI, are going to win. And, you want to be coming up when people are searching for agents on ChatGPT, Geminis and tools like that.
Of course.
Otherwise, you're invisible.
Yeah, and you guys are supporting that with what
Absolutely.
you do. And in terms of so if an agent, can you tie agent reputation data to agent growth, listings and sales? Could you see correlations there?
Absolutely, we can. So we looked at some data, and I'll get the exact stats for you, but it was agents that used our platform and actually collected reviews consistently and published them were earning 3 times more than agents that didn't. And that was just in a subset of data we saw.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we just know how powerful that review becomes. And most agents don't even reply to them, which is crazy to me because you can literally curate your online persona by the tone you take when you're replying to reviews.
Yeah.
Everyone's seen TikTok or Instagram where brands come in and they've got a personality and they're funny. Automatically, you associate that tone of voice with that brand, and it helps you build, your persona online.
Yeah, that's pretty important. So I think, your market share is obviously growing. I know you've got some pretty fierce competitors out there as well that kind of flick the switch on and do this, that, and the other. But you seem to be. How are you finding that kind of ongoing, competitor landscape for what Renown does?
We love a competitor. It keeps us honest. It keeps us on our toes, and it keeps the market, even. But I think we do it better than anyone else. Like we've got some competitors that work across different verticals. So they don't specialize in real estate.
Yep.
So they don't do it as well as us. And then we've got other competitors who almost do reviews as a side hustle.
Yeah.
And while they might cross-post to Google as well, they don't get the conversions you need because we have to send multiple reminders to actually get the 70% conversion that we get.
Yeah.
And if you're a listing portal and you do reviews, you can't send multiple reminders because you're trying to attract people to listings. So you need to send listing reports and you need to send market updates, not review reminders. So we do it better. It often takes a customer leaving and seeing that they don't do it as well to come back. But over time we win as long as we keep innovating.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to know. Let's talk leadership for a minute. I remember we used to run all this kind of phone drives at News Corp and do all that sort of stuff. And, I think a lot of that's carried forward. What do you think makes a good sales manager versus one that's not so good?
Honestly, it's not rocket science.
In the trenches, yeah?
You're in the trenches and you got to drive activity. Like you can be the best conceptual leader ever and tell the best stories, but unless you're actually driving the action of your sales team, picking up the phone and talking to customers, you're not effective.
No. Is there any other kind of standout things that you think for you that's worked well?
Running it like a sports team, like training. So every Friday we do.
It's not a family, it's a sports team.
It's a sports team, and ask each other how you can be better and call it out when someone could have done something better. I think every Friday we do a pitch week exercise where we'll role play a pitch, objection handling, closes, and we'll critique each other, and everyone learns. And the leaders do that. I pitch to the team, and you got to put yourself out there. And be exposed and show them that you can do what you're asking them to do because it'll mean that they'll take your feedback on board so much more.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that.
How many leaders can't log into the products they're selling? I mean, that's a concern.
Definitely, absolutely. And in terms of one-on-ones and coaching, and how do you get the best out of people as a leader?
Have structure around it. One-on-ones aren't just a coffee catch up and how you're doing. Like have an outcome-based conversation that actually moves the needle forward. And make observations. Like, it's about collecting data, right? Like, we did it at News Corp. We had really good dashboards. If your calls aren't there, what's stopping you from making the calls?
Yeah.
If the calls are there but then the meetings aren't, what's the script you're using? Let's listen to some calls together. The data's all there.
Real estate, isn't it? It's
exactly.
Good. The calls aren't there, the appraisals aren't there.
It's sales 101. Yeah.
So, mate, personally, so you're a new dad, or 19 months ago now.
19 months ago, it flies.
You went from Melbourne to Sydney. You come back down, Ellie and yourself, new dad. Hunter's doing very well. What's how does the next kind of 3 to 5 years look for you, mate, in terms of career and stuff?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, I don't think I touched on that point, but I did get moved from the head of sales role to a chief commercial officer role, and that's all about bringing this transformation to the ANZ sales team together and making sure we nail that. We're in the process of that right now, so the idea is we'll go live on that on April 1.
Yep.
It's going to be busy. Like, we're going to need to be really making sure we are delivering the outcomes we need to. And then for us, it's success of the product, both here in Australia and New Zealand.
Yep.
And then in America, we've got a great team over there pushing the product forward. But ultimately, it's mass adoption of the product and, defending here in AU where we've got quite good penetration.
Yeah, definitely. And in terms of what drives Brad Morgan, is it in terms of personal growth, is it impact, is it legacy? Like what gets you up in the morning?
I'm a kid from King Island. I cannot believe I'm here in the position I'm in.
Yeah.
And honestly, I just want to see how far I can get. Like, it's a game to me. Like, I turn up, I give 100% every day.
Yeah.
And stuff just keeps happening. Achieve more.
Yeah.
And good things happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's good advice. What advice would you give your younger self, and also not only yourself, but someone else young, that's where you were? Because I think what you've been able to do, how you ended up in the Navy, like, you knew that was going to get you somewhere. Like, you probably wouldn't change too much about what you've done in the past. But what advice would you give to a young person that's, and it's more prevalent now. People have lost their way. They don't know what to do, how to kind of pivot and get themselves going. Well, you're a good person to share this with some of the people out there that just a bit lost and not sure where to go next.
I like that you said I wouldn't change much. I've had plenty of train wrecks that I won't share here. Probably some of those, but then I wouldn't be where I am today because of them.
Yeah.
But I think what I would say is, like, walking into a room, even if you feel uncomfortable, you are enough and you deserve to be there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hardest part about growth, especially growth that happens quite quickly.
Yeah.
Like, you bring value just by being yourself. When you walk into a room, you fill that room and people want to hear you talk.
Yeah.
And you deserve to be there. I think sometimes that's hard to, you forget that.
Yeah. But even you've taken steps back, so you've gone forward, you've taken a step back. Like, I think people are scared to take that step back because they're worried about what's going to happen next. So, what's your advice there?
Back yourself in.
Yeah.
I think we all deep down, when we look inside, we know the path we want for ourselves. Yeah. And we know that stepping back's the best path to get there. But it's the ego hit.
Yeah.
It's but I was here. But where you are today isn't where you are tomorrow. I love the saying, peacock one day, feather duster the next. Because how true is that?
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down, as long as you dust yourself off, get up and move forward again. And just have fun doing that too. Like, at the end of the day, like, we saw how many people get stopped dead, redundancy.
Yeah.
That were putting their heart and soul into it. Just give it your all in that day, because you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring.
Mate, definitely. Good advice. Here's a couple of quick fire questions. Mate, what's one leadership trait every agency principal needs?
Have others do what you would do yourself.
Yeah. One marketing mistake agents keep repeating.
A marketing mistake they keep repeating is not having a professional take care of the marketing.
Yeah.
Focus on listing properties. Yeah. Let us take care of that.
Good advice. Any books that you would recommend for anyone that's out there?
Yeah, there's a couple. What got you there? Sorry, what got you here won't get you there. That's a great one about, transitioning through those leadership timelines.
Okay, and one other one, mate. What does success look like for you 5 years from now?
I think like 5 years from now is a really successful business in Renowned.
Yeah.
What that looks like for us with LTIs is probably a successful payout off the back of that.
Yeah, yeah.
And honestly, like I want to look at a board appointment and ultimately a COO, CEO role.
Awesome.
I want to steer a
Exciting,
ship,
mate.
just a private company
Just not a
ship, not a
floating
Navy
one.
one.
Mate, look, congratulations on your career. It's exciting what you've been able to do. Love watching what you're up to and where you're going. Mate, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man. So good.
That's People Behind Property Podcast. Thank you, Brad Morgan, for being on here. If you like this episode, please like, share, and rate. And we look forward to seeing you on our next podcast. Thanks for joining. And until then, bye for now.